By the book, that was roughing the passer. By the eye test, a lot of people, players, coaches, and fans, saw a clean sack that didn't deserve a flag. That tension is exactly why this play blew up into a national debate. 10 seconds left in the first half, Ravens trailing 10-6. Lamar Jackson takes the snap, and Dallas Turner meets him in the backfield, wraps him up, and brings him down for a 10-yard loss. On the sidelines and in the stands, it looks like a textbook tackle. No helmet-to-helmet blow, no obvious grab to the neck. But Turner finished with his body over Jackson as the play ended, and the officials threw a flag for roughing the passer, enforcement that moved the ball to the 25 and turned a near 53-yard attempt into a 30-yarder. Tyler Loop's kick made it 10-9 at the half, and the small swing of points changed the tone heading into the break. Technically, the call checks the rulebook boxes. The NFL's roughing guidelines penalize defenders who drive a passer into the ground or land with full body weight on him. It's not just about head contact, it's about the finish of the tackle. Officials are told to watch how a play completes, and if a tackler's momentum ends with significant weight on the QB, that can trigger a flag, even when the initial contact appears legal. That's where the controversy lives, the distinction between the initial hit and the finish. In the flow of a live play, a defender is trying to wrap, secure, and end the play. Momentum carries bodies in angles that are hard to control in a split second. Michael Strahan put it bluntly on the broadcast, "They're talking about getting to the side, getting your weight off the quarterback. It's impossible in the flow of the game." He's pointing to a practical problem. Defenders can be coached to avoid certain finishes, but executing that under game speed is a different challenge entirely. This is the structural dilemma the league wrestles with every season. On one side is player safety. The NFL has made protecting quarterbacks a priority because of the clear medical risks and the reputational and legal costs of allowing repetitive head and neck trauma. On the other is the integrity of tackling as a competitive skill. If defenders must contort themselves to avoid ever finishing on top of a QB, the effectiveness of pass rushes changes, and the defense-offense balance shifts in predictable ways. So what did the refs see, and why did they act? They judged that Turner's finish involved weight on top of Jackson, the measurable enforcement lever. That's an objective frame officials can point to on replay. Did the defender end with sustained torso contact in a way that meets the body weight definition? In the league's enforcement logic, that threshold is easier to defend than trying to parse intent, force, or the impossibility of avoidance in a chaotic moment. The broader consequences of rulings like this are immediate and real. A 5-yard flag with half the distance enforcement on the cusp of halftime changes coaching decisions, field goal probabilities, and the psychological swing of a game. Those are not trivial. Short field points at the half alter play calling and momentum. They're also the reason fans erupt. It feels like the refs rewrote the script in a moment that should have been settled by play, not paperwork. Not paperwork. What are the fix options people talk about? There's no perfect answer, but a few changes could reduce controversy. Clearer, quantifiable language around sustained weight, so crews apply one visual standard, limited replay review on roughing flags that materially affect scoring in end-of-half situations, or a momentum carve-out that protects defenders whose forward motion makes immediate weight removal impossible. Each idea has trade-offs, clarity versus subjectivity, replay time versus game flow, and the league has showed caution because every rule tweak ripples across coaching, officiating, and player technique. There's also a coaching and development angle. Teams are now teaching defenders to finish tackles in ways that minimize perceived weight on top outcomes, roll off, peel away, or tackle to one side, but that reduces finishing power and can make sacks less sure. At lower levels, teaching safer finishes from youth on up could shift technique norms over years, but it won't fix split-second decisions in today's pros. Finally, consider the practical football outcome. Did the call decide the game? The Ravens still won 27-19, so the flag didn't change the final result. But did it alter momentum and coaching choices? Absolutely. A chip shot field goal instead of a long attempt at the end of a half changes the playbook at intermission. That's why these calls matter beyond principle. They change how coaches manage the next 30 minutes. Bottom line, the rulebook supports the call, and the officials were following a legally defensible standard. The optics of the hit made a lot of viewers and a lot of former players bristle because it felt like a clean sack. That gap between letter and spirit is the league's headache. Until there's a clearer mechanical standard or a different approach to replay and enforcement, we'll keep having this argument. Protect quarterbacks or let defenders play the game the way they've always played it. Tonight, the refs aired on safety, and the debate will rage on. What do you do when a single whistle changes the geography of a game? Not the final score, but the memory of it. 10 seconds left in the half, the Ravens backed into Vikings territory, and then a sack happens. It looks clean on first watch. Lamar Jackson goes down, the ball pops free in the scramble of a tackle, and the clock is about to make the decision for everyone. Instead, the flag flies, roughing the passer, half the distance to the goal. A 53-yard field goal becomes a 30-yarder. The kick is good. The headline is not the score at the moment the whistle blew. It's the question that follows. Was that really roughing? dau.sports.yahoo.com. Let's start up close because the only honest way to tell this story is to look at the small things. Dallas Turner, a young linebacker playing hard and playing fast, met Lamar in the pocket. It was a full-body takedown, the kind of play defenders have practiced since Pop Warner. Leverage, drive, finish. Turner's body ended on top of Jackson. The referees judged that finish to be the issue. The rule book these days is explicit. Landing with full body weight on a quarterback can draw a flag. By the letter of the law, that's what happened. By the spirit of the moment, that's where the argument lives. SI, which is why the moment exploded into debate. On live television during the break, Michael Strahan, Hall of Famer, former pass rusher, and now a broadcaster, didn't mince words. That was a bad call, he said. And then he did something rare for a network halftime. He argued not about gamesmanship, but about the practical reality of tackling in the modern NFL. If you're in the flow of a game and you try to make a tackle without finishing it, Strahan's point went, you might end up flagging yourself more than helping your team. He asked the awkward question everyone's thinking. If defenders are punished for finishing tackles, how are they supposed to play? Awful announcing. Let's be clear. There are two honest answers to that question, and both are uncomfortable. The first is legalistic. The rule exists because quarterbacks are vulnerable, and elite quarterbacks are franchises for which teams and the league feel a custodial responsibility. The other answer is cultural. Football is a collision sport, and every time the league tightens what was once routine, the game's texture changes. Fans notice, players notice, coaches adjust. The result is a slow drift toward a sport that must thread a needle between protecting performers and preserving contact as the defining element of the game. That tension bursts to the surface anytime a call like this happens, SI. But there's also the immediacy of competitive consequence. You can argue about philosophy all day, but in that moment,